Are you over 40 and you are fed up with the weight gain? If you're 52 like me, girls, we experience something as we near 40, near 50, where weight accumulates on our body, places it had never accumulated before. Well, I'm a nurse educator by trade, and I have researched the last 6 months what the heck is going on with my body, and I have found a lot of answers and some solutions to some of these weight gain problems. Stick around, today's video is going to shed some light on why we are gaining weight over 40 and what the heck we can do about it. Welcome back to Thatssotrishy. My channel is for you and me. It's for women over 40 who want to look beautiful, feel beautiful. So we talk about all things beauty, health, fashion, motivation, and today is a biggie. I've talked to so many friends and peers about this. I've seen it on so many social media sites. Women are fed up. As we near 40 and 50, we start gaining weight and we don't understand exactly why. Well, it happened to me even after I lost weight. Thought I was out of the clear, feeling good about myself. The last 6 months, some crazy things started happening in my body, and I started getting little cottage cheese around my belly. And I was always a big booty girl. My belly was always fine. So I had to find out what was going on. And what I found out was very interesting, but it also enabled me to find tools to work on this and be able to bring my body back in control to where I wanted it. So my hope is I can share what I've learned with you all, and you can take some of this information and get on the journey to where you're gonna feel good about yourself again. So let's dive into it. What is going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It's perimenopause. So some of you may go, not real familiar with perimenopause. We all know what menopause is, that dreaded word we hear our whole life as girls. When you're old, you turn to menopause and you go crazy and you have hot flashes. Well, guys, there is so much to it. I could spend multiple videos on it, and I probably will. And I have done a video on estrogen. If you want to check that out after this video is over, it's a really good starting point. But just in synopsis, kind of in summary, what is going on with our bodies? We tend to go through perimenopause sometime in our 40s or 50s. Perimenopause is the period, the years before we come to menopause. So if we hear much, which there's not much education about, it's one of the most undereducated things in health, and it's infuriating to me. But if we hear much, we hear about menopause. We don't hear about perimenopause. And guys, perimenopause is where all the action happens. Perimenopause is when all the things start going awry. And perimenopause is we often have no idea that we're going through it. So let's clarify some definitions. Menopause is the point in a woman's life where she has went 12 months without a menstrual cycle. Many of us are kind of familiar with that. But perimenopause is the years leading up to that, and that can last as long as 10 years. So some of you started this when you were 40, a few even in your young 30s, and you didn't know it. And basically what's going on, in a nutshell, in perimenopause, our body starts winding down from childbearing. What's important to note is when our bodies are childbearing, we make several hormones: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Those are all important in the sexual life cycle and the baby bearing years. As we hit perimenopause, our ovaries start to slowly go, whoa, let's slow it down. Sometimes it's so slow and it's so subtle, we have no idea. What also can happen is it can fluctuate. It's like it's all out of control, so it doesn't just go and decrease. Sometimes it goes like this, and it goes in excess, and you have estrogen dominance. So somewhere about my mid-40s, I started not sleeping. I started slowly creeping up on weight gain, and most of my life I could eat whatever I want. A matter of fact, important to note for our discussion in a minute, most of the time I ate about 2,000, 2,200 calories a day, did some minimal exercise, and never gained a pound. Most of my life, I was one of those lucky girls. But come late 30s into my 40s, it slowly started creeping up. Can you feel me yet? Has it happened to you? Maybe 5 pounds a year? By the time I reached 49, I was in trouble. I had gained a significant amount of weight. For my body frame, very small boned and always being very tiny, that took a toll on me emotionally, physically, mentally, and health-wise. My triglycerides were off the charts. I was having chest pain. I was short of breath. I was tired all the time. I felt horrible. And I don't want to give the misconception in this video that the only reason you gain weight is because of the decrease in hormones. That's simply not true. We can gain weight from overeating, from not exercising, being sluggish, having thyroid problems. There's lots of reasons you can gain weight, but sometimes it's a combination of things. But what I didn't know was my ovaries were ticking and they were going up and down, up and down. So as I gained weight, I also started experiencing insomnia, and something crazy happened to me. I started bleeding like crazy every month, like so bad I couldn't control it, and found out that I had a fibroid tumor. Well, I'm going to show you guys a picture of what I look like at 49 when this fibroid tumor went nuts. So take a peek at that. I look like a 49-year-old pregnant woman. I wasn't pregnant. I had a crazy benign fibroid tumor that grew like a baby. And I also developed ovarian cysts. And I never had any type of ovary issues, menstrual issues. I went my whole life without menstrual cramps. I know I was very blessed. But I didn't know why all these things were happening to me. Well, I know that a lot of it had to do with stress. My job was very stressful and my best friend was dying from cancer. But I now know I was going through perimenopause. It didn't matter that I thought I wouldn't for a long, long time. My body was going through perimenopause. What happens when you go through perimenopause and these hormones fluctuate and then start the decline is your metabolism slows down. And I feel like sometimes we throw out these words, menopause, hormones, metabolism, and we don't really think about what they actually mean. Metabolism is a very distinct, important function in our body. It's not some fluffy word. Metabolism is how fast our body burns calories. So I said most of my life I could eat around 2,000 calories and not gain weight. I started tracking. I got a fitness pal and I started tracking every single thing I ate and every exercise I did for 3 months. And guess what I found? I found that at 1,400 calories, just above 1,400 calories, I gained weight. My basal metabolic rate, my metabolism had slowed about 600 calories a day down. Does that start to make sense to you why we would gain weight? So extremely frustrating. Well, my video today is not about how I lost a lot of weight because I did a drastic calorie deficit. I did small portions, but my video today is about when I discovered I was going through perimenopause and reaching menopause. And after the weight loss, after sustaining that weight loss, then all of a sudden 15 pounds started creeping on my belly. My belly was flat. It was always my big booty. But my belly started getting flabby, along with a whole myriad of symptoms that we'll talk about in another video, but were making me miserable. So what I did, and what I'm still doing, I'm still on that journey to get to the weight that I feel good about. I want to emphasize that a number is not so important, guys. I weighed 135 for a long period in my life. Now, as I've gotten older, I actually like my body better about 145, 150. I have curves, but still a small waist. So I would just encourage you, first of all, drop the number. Forget the number. Look in the mirror. Video yourself. That may sound crazy, but I never had a true picture of what I look like until I started a YouTube channel and started doing TikToks. And it's actually a really good gauge to see when I start gaining weight. I do weigh about once a week, sometimes twice a month. I don't like to be obsessed with numbers and the scale. Look at yourself in the reflection in the videos in your clothes and see what size you feel good and healthy at. So I'm still working, but this is what I have discovered, and here are my top tips to how to combat that perimenopause/menopause weight gain. So here's your top number one tip if you are experiencing perimenopause/menopause weight gain. Find a menopause specialist. What? What is a menopause specialist? That sounds so fancy, doesn't it? A menopause specialist is a provider, a healthcare provider, a doctor, a nurse practitioner, a PA, some qualified licensed healthcare professional that has specialized menopause study and education. Do not go to your primary doctor. I am not dissing primary doctors. As a nurse and healthcare provider for 34 years, I literally am friends with hundreds of doctors. I respect them and admire them, but I would not go to my OB doctor for a neurology issue. So don't go to a menopausal issue with a primary physician who doesn't have study in that area. I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. They get minimal education in school about menopausal years. It's just not something that they spend much time on, which to me is a travesty. So unless your provider specifically has menopause education, go to somebody else for these issues, because I feel like you're just going to end up on a hamster wheel. I'm going to link in the description box a site that you can go to that you can enter your zip code, and it will list all of the certified menopause specialists in your area. I did that. I found a wonderful medical provider, and she has really helped me on my journey. Also, if you don't want to go to a provider yet, say you want a little more information, my favorite expert on this subject is Dr. Barbie Taylor. She is a retired OB gynecologist, OB surgeon who is brilliant, and she's quirky and fun and personable, but the smartest woman I've ever seen. And she has a YouTube channel that just talks about perimenopause, menopause. She has, I think, like over 300 videos, and she is a textbook. You can either go through the videos one at a time or read the textbook. I'm going to link it in the description box. You can get it on Amazon or her website. I have it. I learned so much. So first, get the resources. Find your menopause specialist to help you get the hormones under control. You may not be a candidate for hormone replacement therapy if you've had estrogen receptive breast cancer, but for most women, we can take hormone replacement therapy. And again, I could make a whole video on that, but I just want to tell you, the studies have shown that studies from the past erroneously scared women into thinking that it was dangerous. The studies are now showing that you are more at risk for cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, and Alzheimer's by not taking hormone replacement. More risk there than the risk of getting cancer by taking it. I started on hormone replacement, and it has made a world of difference. I truly believe it has brought my metabolism back up a little. To 2,000 calories a day? No, I don't think so. But I've been tracking again, and I'm about 1,700 to 1,800 calories a day. I can eat and enjoy life way better than 1,400 calories a day. I said your number one first tool in your toolbox to get this weight under control is find a menopause specialist and educate yourself. Number two, I keep talking about calories, calories, calories. Well, there's a reason. No matter which way you want to shake it out, no matter what diet, exercise regimen you believe in, it still boils down to partly a mathematical equation. There's so many variables to it, but basically, in general, It takes 3,500 calories in 1 week to lose 1 pound. You need to memorize that, write it down if you weren't aware of it. That's your basic formula to start with. Now there's all kinds of factors that go into that. But if you do the math, if you want to lose 1 pound a week, then you've got to have a 500 calorie deficit a day. What's going to work? There's a million diets out there. You don't want a diet. You want to learn to diet. Eat. Diet meaning eat, not restrict. You want to learn to diet in a way that works for you, that you can sustain. When you take account that 3,500 calorie restriction, you got to figure out you. What do you like? What's your taste? What's your lifestyle? For me, I decided to do frequent meals, small portions, and track every single thing I do. So this may be shocking to some of you, but this is a Pyrex little dish that I use. This is the foundation to how much I eat. And I eat every 2 to 3 hours. The reason I do that is one way you can typically bump your basal metabolic rate up. So if you think you could live on a diet where you eat what you want within reason, we're going to talk about specific foods in a minute, but you could cut down to this size. Instead of a cereal bowl this big, I wanted to put it in a video, but my husband used all the big cereal bowls and they're in the dishwasher. But think about a big cereal bowl compared to this. This is what I eat of cereal now instead of that bowl that was like 4 times as much. So I'm doing small amount of calories, usually a couple hundred calories, every 2 to 3 hours. That works for me, and I like that. And I get the bonus of that does increase your basal metabolic rate. But say that won't work for you. Maybe you're more about 2 small meals and a larger meal for supper. That'll work too. The key is finding how you like to eat and take that formula and go with it. You don't have to spend money on all kinds of diets. You just have to figure out that 3,500 calorie deficit. What food eating lifestyle am I going to make that deficit happen? And after it happens and I get to my goal weight, that I can sustain. So I mentioned briefly that you can eat what you want, but you really do have to make consideration to what kinds of food that you eat. Now, I right now am actually on the Noom program, if you've heard of that, Noom. I'm only like 6 days into it, and I'm actually going to make a video on that either next week or the week after. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. I'm on the free trial, and I like it because it's a fitness tracker. You could get Fitness Pal, and it's free if you don't get the premium version. Zoom does have a cost to it, but I like it because a couple of reasons. It prompts me every couple of hours to log my food, and I was really bad about logging food before. I'm just going to tell you, if you're anything like me, I'm kind of rebellious in nature, but I used to be like, I'm not going to do all that food tracking. Everybody does. I want to live my life. Well, I lived my life and gained 60-something pounds. So I finally realized, at least until I relearn healthy eating habits, I'm going to have to track. So Noom reminds me to track my food. But one thing I like about it, and again, I'm going to go into detail about their program in an upcoming video, it labels foods green, yellow, or red. And basically, green are your really healthy veggies and fruits, which I typically hate. Yellow's your medium of the road proteins, kind of good for you, but not as great as green. And then red are not bad foods, but they're the foods that are more calorie heavy. So the green foods have less calories, yellow have middle of the road, and red have a lot. It's important that you get all of those, but you don't want to get too much red. So it's really opened my eyes up to, wow, I have got to learn to make better choices. So this week I actually lost my first pound on the Noom program, and I cut out my chips. I don't have a sweet tooth much anymore like I used to, but I love Lay's potato chips. I could eat Lay's potato chips all day long. And I thought if I counted them out, it was fine. And you can do that if you count out 16, it's like 150 calories. But I have switched. Instead of going and getting my chips, I go get an apple. That's really hard for me because I've never been healthy like that. I go get watermelon. So in that upcoming noon video, I'll talk about some choices. Your third thing in your toolbox. So number one was get your hormones in check, raise that basal metabolic rate up that way. Number two was work the 3,500 calculation. Work it however you like to eat, figure it out, divide it up, and work that so you can get to where you want and then sustain by a similar eating lifestyle. Number three, let's raise that basal metabolic rate up again by exercise, because we all know we can expend exercise and burn calories. But when you burn calories, that obviously is going to adjust how many calories you can eat. So optimal, the studies show optimal is HIIT, high intensity training. You can get an app. There's an app on my iPhone. I've had it for like 5 years. You can do like a 5 or 15 minute workout of just HIIT exercises in your house. And if you're all about working out at home, I have an upcoming video that I'm doing on that. I do go to the gym. I try to go twice a week. I'm not ever going to be that girl on YouTube that just has all these snatched muscles and works out all the time. I envy you people. I wish I could do that. I'm just going to do what I like and do minimal that I have to do. So if you're there with me, you'll get this. So you've got to do some exercise, either HIIT, resistance training, weight training, with some cardio. Cardio alone is not your best option. And I like to dance, so I do like cardio, but cardio will actually end up later on slowing your metabolism down. So what the studies are showing is the combination is best. Do some dancing, do some Zumba. I do freestyle dancing in the other room. But add some resistance training, add some weights with it. Put hand weights while you're dancing and doing those moves. Get resistance bands as you're stepping to add some resistance to that. It's a combination. I'm going to close this video out. I hope you found something useful. There was actually a lot of information in here. There's so much information I could do more and more videos on different parts of what I talked about, and I probably will. Don't just take this is everything, because a lot more comes into play. Nutrients are super important. I also started supplementing with magnesium. These are just chews. I hate to swallow pills. I'm kind of a baby. And I use patches or chews as much as possible. I only take fish oil, baby aspirin, and another vitamin by mouth, and everything else I do by gummies. And anyway, these magnesium gummies are really good, and I take 2 of those a night. Adding fiber is great. I went out and bought a bottle of fiber for $10, and then I came home and I was really ashamed by myself because I took one and I thought they would be yummy, like Tums, because I think Tums taste good. Am I the only freak that likes Tums? Be careful, do not eat too many Tums, by the way. That can be very dangerous with something called your acid balance, your acid-base balance. But anyway, I like the taste of Tums, so I have to be careful not to eat too many. These fiber chewable things were nasty, so I gave them away, and I quickly found out that I could eat an apple a day and get more fiber. So fiber plays an important role too. But we're going to go into some nutrition aspects in future videos. One last trick that I use is a step counter. Many of you have iPhone, Apple Watches, many of you have Fitbits, Garmin's, the like. I had some of those things, liked them for a long time, and then I finally, again, the rebel, I'm like, I don't want to be tied down. So I actually just got off of Amazon a really inexpensive, old-fashioned, it's digital, but little step counter that I click in my bra, on my hip, and it doesn't connect to anything. I just can glance at it, and I try to get 10 to 12,000 steps a day. So that could also help you with calorie expenditure. So that's it, guys. We've come to the end of this beginning video on what's going on with your weight gain over 40 and how can I combat it. You gotta make changes. We have to change in life. We have to do things. If you want the body that you want, you're gonna have to make some changes, and you're probably not gonna be able to eat what you did when you were 20 or even 30. But there's ways that you can tweak. You can be in control of this. You can change your basal metabolic rate with hormones, diet, and exercise. And I challenge you to find out how you're going to do it. Take that 3500 formula. Let me know in the comments what's working for you, what hasn't worked. And come back here and watch more videos with me as I continue on my journey. And I will share happily with you what has worked and what hasn't. Thank you guys so much for watching Thatssotrishy. I hope you liked today's video. If you did, would you smash that like button? It really helps the algorithm and it helps me know if you like the video. I can see how many people watch my video, but I like to know how many people liked it. Also, please consider subscribing. There's also a notification bell. If you click that, it'll let you know every time I upload. But my traditional schedule is every Sunday, 12 p.m. Central. I have a new video up for you guys. Again, thank you so much for watching Thatssotrishy. I hope you have a great day. Bye. As a degree with mass, I have an itch. Why do I have an itch in the middle of filming?